When I got married, all I got were a bunch of crock pots and something called a biscuit barrel. Now I'm mad nobody was thoughtful enough to give me a Lovecraftian horror from another dimension. Let's get to it, shall we?
Will you stop the clatter, you bubble-headed booby?
The Outer Limits.
It is the swinging 1920s, and a present has just arrived for the newlyweds in the form of a box that looks like a camera obscura and sounds like your skull vibrating while you're getting your teeth drilled at the dentist office. On the box is a simple instruction: don't open till doomsday. Naturally, the new husband takes this as an invitation and immediately opens his present, without his new wife around to tell him not to. When he peers inside, he finds David Lynch's personal muse. Fast forward to the present 1960s, and another couple is getting eloped by a kind man and a creepy old lady. The creepy lady calls her friend Mary, hoping that she will put the couple up for their wedding night in an old bridal suite Mary owns. The newlyweds reluctantly agree to the deal, since apparently they hadn't done much planning beyond the getting married part, and they drive up to Mary's house to meet her. Mary, it turns out, is Miriam Hopkins doing her best Norma Desmond impression, and though she freaks the heck out of the couple, once Mary leaves them, the new wife, Vivia, gives her new husband, Gard, the most goth intercourse proposal I've heard since high school.
Will I have to spend my life keeping trespassers out of my graveyard?
They make it to the bridal suite and completely ignore the forest of cobwebs. Gard goes downstairs to get the luggage and move the car, and then Mary barges in on Vivia without bothering to knock and makes herself at home, explaining that she lost her husband on her wedding night more than a quarter century ago, and that she's waiting for his return. Eventually, Vivia gets her to leave and then locks the door, before noticing the David Lynch box from the beginning of the episode, and she peeks within.
Vivia?
When Gard gets back with the suitcases, he figures his new wife has already left him, and then he leaves, while Vivia, from inside the box, screams and pounds on the peephole to no avail. Then we meet Vivia's father, Emmett, whose previous experiences with Doomsday didn't go so well.
And if I don't go...
Emmett goes to the Justice of the Peace, where Gard and Vivia were married, and bribes them to find the truth. He makes his way to Mary's house, where she gets his attention by breaking a window.
Who's there?
He goes into the house to investigate, only to also be sucked in by the box. Mary's house is apparently more hopping than it's been in decades, as both the Justice of the Peace and Gard arrive. The old man assumes this is all about an overprotective and overbearing father, and tells Gard to go confront Emmett and free both himself and Vivia from his control. Meanwhile, inside the box, Pizza the Hut finally speaks to his captors, and reveals that his plan has been to make a deal in which he'll let everyone go as long as they help him escape and destroy the entire universe.
Not a great plan.
While Mary has fun showing off her crazy pants to Gard, Emmett pops out of the box with Vivia, but it was all a ruse so that the newlyweds could escape. Once the interdimensional creature figures this out, he recaptures Emmett, and Mary freaks out. I mean, even more than usual. As Gard and Vivia drive off to live happily ever after, the great mighty Pooh decides his mission is a failure, and since he can't destroy the entire universe, he'll settle on Mary's house and everybody in it. I kind of love this episode. It's so unashamedly weird, and everything about it is so off-kilter that it leaves you feeling deeply unsettled. Miriam Hopkins steals the episode by overacting her heart out, and you never quite know if the show is trying to get you to laugh out loud at her wild behavior, or back away slowly and run for the hills. There's also some fun themes to pull out of the story about marriage and maturity, and you should know by now I love reading too much into those kinds of things. I mentioned both Lovecraft and David Lynch earlier, and both are genuine comparisons. If David Lynch had been around to direct an Outer Limits episode, and Lovecraft had been alive to write it, this is about what I imagine it would be. And that's all I have on Don't Open Till Doomsday. Now, as always, do all those YouTubey things, and check out my Patreon, and all that other good stuff. But until next time, this is the Unapologetic Geek, telling you to never be ashamed of what you love, as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Let your baby wait no more. Doomsday is knocking at my door.